Welcome back to the podcast. This will be the last episode of 2022. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. So let's get right into it. And today we're going to talk about Toledo Rockets football coach, head coach Jason Candle. There's been a lot of talk about him entering the last year of his contract and whether or not he should stay at Toledo. Some fans have wanted to see him be replaced. Other fans wanted to see him get extended. And I'm going to give you my take and go over a few different stats and so forth. And we'll just go from there. So, first of all, Jason Candle, 43 years old, 7 years as the head coach at Toledo. He has a 54-32 record overall, 2 MAC championship titles, 6 bowl appearances, and 2 wins in bowl games, and a 35-19 record in the MAC. All right. So let's look at some things here. The number 1 recruiting class in the MAC 5 times in 7 years. 8 players drafted into the NFL draft since becoming the head coach at Toledo. 15 players either on NFL rosters or practice squads for the NFL that played under Candle while he's been the head coach at Toledo. We just recently heard Toledo is one of 7 schools to record a 100% graduation rate for the 2015 freshman football class, earning the AFCA's 2022 Academic Achievement Award. This is only the second time a MAC school has earned the award. Miami University in Ohio won the award in 2011. Sorry about that. They won the award in 2011, and now Toledo, second MAC school, winning it here in 2022. Like I said, it's for the graduation rate for the 2015 freshman football class. They use a 6-year graduation window for student athletes. And so it uses the GSR, the graduation success rate formula. It's based on, like I said, a 6-year graduation window for student athletes, and it holds institutions accountable for transfer students coming into the program as well. So if you were part of the 2015 freshman class, but you started somewhere else, let's just throw somewhere out there, it's like East Carolina, and then in 2019 you came to Toledo, you would be part of their graduation success rate, the GSR. Rather than East Carolina's, because it's Toledo that you're, finishing your schooling in and so forth. So this is, a very good award. It shows it's not just about what's on the field, but also academically in the classroom, right? So top recruiting classes, players getting drafted, players that weren't drafted but still were free agent pickups and have been playing on rosters or in practice squads for the NFL. 2 MAC championships in 7 years. 6 bowl appearances. Of course, the one was his very first appearance as head coach back in, I guess that would be 2014, I believe it was. 2000, yeah, something like that. So let's look at things here with his salary now, okay? He made just under 1.2 million back in 2021 and should make right around 1.2 million for 2022 as well. It's a lot of money, right? His base salary for this next year, which is the last year of his contract in 2023, is $575,000, with $650 going towards marketing income. So that puts it up just over 1.2 million for 2023, right? Like I said, it's the final season of his current contract. If he were to leave early, so if he left now, there would be a $450,000 buyout that he would have to pay to UT to leave, or if Toledo for some reason decided to let him go, they would have that money that they still have to pay him. In January of 2022, he did turn down an offer to be the Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator. So that's a big time program, right? That he was going to be offered as much as about $1.6 million to be the offensive coordinator. And he turned that down. Not only did he turn that down, but he also took a pay cut. And a lot of people don't know about that, but he did take a pay cut for 2022. And this is according to David Briggs of the Toledo Blade. Candle gave back $50,000 of his salary so that UT could give that extra $50K to defensive coordinator Vince Curris. Obviously, that's a great move, right? Keep him in as a defensive coordinator. A lot of places have been looking at him. A lot of schools showing interest in him, and he wanted to help keep his staff here. So he took a $50,000 pay cut for 2022. Grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but how many coaches are doing that? Not a lot of coaches are taking that much of a pay cut for that. You did see during COVID time, there were coaches that were taking a pay cut just because of financials, right? With COVID and so forth. But this was not for that. This was a pay cut to pay assistant coaches. So that just shows also kind of guy he is, right? So, let's go back now and look at, I mentioned some Rocket fans really don't want to see him continue here at Toledo, and some do. Coming into the season, I'd say about halfway through it, a lot of Rocket fans were talking about that was time to, part ways with Jason Candle. But right now, the program is really on a roll. And you look at it, a MAC championship and a bowl game victory, winning the MAC title, the second one in his 7 years. The Booker Raton Bowl victory, and now the AFCA's 2022 Academic Achievement Award. There's no way you can let go of a coach after those kinds of accomplishments. First of all, after winning the MAC championship, it was off the board. There's no way that Toledo was going to, say they were going to say, okay, it's time to part ways. No. Then he wins the Boca Raton Bowl, right, against a solid Liberty team, and then the 2022 Academic Achievement Award comes out, and there's just no way that anything like that is going to happen. 1 year left on the contract, right? You're at least going through the rest of the contract. But I don't think that it should even be looked at that way. I think that you're probably going to see a contract extension here in the offseason, probably pretty soon. And here's a little bit of why. I'm going to look at, I got some notes here, some of the past coaches for UT, head coaches, right? Matt Campbell in 5 seasons, 0 MAC championships. Tim Beckman, 3 seasons, 0 MAC championships. Tom Amstutz, 8 seasons, 2 MAC championships. Did a great job. We know things towards the end of his head coaching had kind of changed a bit. The defense really got lost there for a while under Tom Amstutz, but still 2 MAC championships, 2001, 2004, bowl game victories, just great job, right? Gary Pinko, he's the all-time winningest head coach in UT football history. Just recently inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. 10 seasons at Toledo, 2 MAC championship game appearances that were losses, 1 MAC championship. So 97, 98 were the MAC championship losses. MAC championship win in 1995. That is before the championship game, but so a MAC championship for him, 10 seasons, and I believe it was 73 wins, 73 wins, which is the most in UT football history. Again, 1 MAC championship. Jason Candle in 7 seasons has 2. Nick Saban, 1 season, 1 MAC championship. Would love to see Saban at Toledo longer than that 1 season, but it is what it is. Dan Simmerl, another guy that coached back in the 80s and very well liked in the community, in UT football program and so forth, the school. one MAC championship in 8 seasons. One MAC championship. Chuck Stobart, 5 seasons, one MAC championship. John Murphy, 6 seasons, one MAC championship. Frank Lauterbur, 8 seasons, 3 MAC championships. Of course, 2 of those, 1969, 1970 with Chuck Ely, right? Who was also just recently inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Quarterback that went 35-0 at Toledo in his time. So 1969, 1970 were 2 of those MAC championships. 1967 was the other MAC championship. So, 2 MAC championships in 7 seasons for Jason Candle, not bad at all. I know people are going to say, yeah, but, we could have been better. We could have, well, I'm sure if you look at every time period, look at, let's look at Gary Pinkel, right? 2000, didn't even get into the MAC championship game. And everybody's like, how did we not even win the MAC championship that year with the team we had? So there's been years that things like that has happened. And Gary Pinkel is considered the best football coach in GT history. Tom Amstutz had him too, years that scratching our heads like, how do we not win the MAC championship that year? So 2 MAC championships in 7 years for Jason Candle is pretty good when you look at all the past coaches, right? So going all the way back to the start of the program, which is 1917, the only head coaches to coach longer at UT is Gary Pinkel, 10 seasons, Tom Amstutz, Dan Simrel, Frank Lauterbur with 8 seasons. Jason Candle next season will tie those 3 with 8 seasons. So he's been here a good amount of time, which shows that there's a lot of confidence in him as the head coach. And, he's had the opportunity to leave a couple times. And for sure, the Miami one's been documented. As an offense coordinator, he could have gone to Miami. He stayed here. There's probably going to be other times. I don't know if there will be anything this year at this point, but next year there's always the possibility of looking at where he could potentially move up. So we'll have to see what happens, but it's where we're at right now. Like I said, Gary Pinkel is the all-time winningest coach in GT football history with 73 wins. Tom Amstutz is second with 58. And, Jason Candle is third. So if I look back here, it's 54 wins. Yes, 54 wins. So he is 4 away from Tom Amstutz. Again, third winningest coach in UT football history, right? And next season, he's going to pass Tom Amstutz to move into second all time. The question, in my opinion, is not whether or not Toledo should part ways with him, but the question is, when will a contract extension get done, and for how long will it be? I have seen some people say, let's put an extension in there for another year or 2. Not sure that's something that makes the best sense. I think more of a 3 to 5 year extension is probably better, what you would expect to see. Even at 43 years old, Candle is still pretty young as a head coach. And he's still learning and getting better. And I think we've seen that in the last couple of years. He's getting better as a head coach. Some of the decisions he's making, some of the decisions on the field, fans will complain about, and even I'll complain about sometimes, but, those are decisions that are made in the field, and every coach makes decisions that their fan base doesn't like. And when you look at some of the decisions off the field that he's made, some of the changes, some of the new coaches he's brought in the last few years, those have been some great decisions that have put the program where they are, having just won the MAC championship. So 43 years old, he'd be 44 during the season next year. I think he turns 44 in November, if I'm not mistaken, or October, something like that. So still, that'll be the end of the contract, right? So you've had an extension that goes another 3 to 5 years. You're looking still somebody that's in their 40s throughout this contract, right? That's still relatively young for a college football, Division I college football head coach. And so, the other thing is the grass is not always greener with another coach, but with this coach, Jason Candle, with what he has accomplished, um, that he has the ability to lead this team to a MAC title and a bowl game victory, and continue to improve the program, right? He's accomplished a lot at Toledo. And, he is one of the best coaches in the game today. He has one of the best coaching resumes of any of the past football coaches at UT ever, right? Again, Gary Pinko's considered probably the best head coach ever at Toledo. He's got the most wins at 73, 10 seasons, the most seasons coached, but still. And he had one MAC championship win, two MAC championship appearances that were losses. The one MAC championship title was 1995 before the actual MAC championship game. Great year that year, right? Team that went undefeated, just the one tie, but went undefeated and defeated Nevada in overtime in a bowl game. Was actually the very first overtime bowl game in history of college football. So that was pretty cool. You looked at Washawn Tate on that team, just a great team, right? Then you look at the 2000 team, that's considered one of the best teams of all time. I mean, you look at what Toledo did to Penn State in 2000 to start the season. Toledo won the game 24-6, but it wasn't even that close, right? They could have easily won by more. And that was a dominating game and a really, for the most part, a dominating year for Toledo. Yet they lost out on going to the MAC championship game with that loss to Western Michigan. And, that was a tough one, right? But you look at it, right? That was a great year for Gary Pinko. The year before that, 1999, the team went 6-5. I think people forget that there are seasons like that, right? And things that happen like that. And that was with Gary Pinko. But the point is that every coach is going to have rough seasons here and there. Jason Candle's had some rough seasons in the sense of the team didn't do as well as people expected and he expected, but still 54-32. It's a pretty good winning percentage. It's like top 3 or 4 for UT all-time coaches, and third right now in all-time wins at 54. 2 MAC championships. Let me go back down this list here, but I'm pretty sure the only one that has more here happened to be a coach during 2 of Chuck Ely's seasons. Everybody else either has 2, which is Tom Amstutz and Jason Kendall, or 1 or none, right? So he's tied for the second most MAC championships from a football coach with 2. I don't see where it makes any sense at all to talk about Jason Candle not being the head coach at Toledo. He should be the head coach. He should get an extension. Toledo fans should embrace what he has done for this program. And not just on the field too, but academically, like we talked about with the GSR 100% graduation rate from the 2015 class. And some of the other things that's happening, some of the things that he does in the community. And not just that, but reaching out to former players, both Candle and his staff, and bringing them back in for different events and so forth. Jason Candle's done a lot for this university, for this football program. And I think that athletic director Brian Blair is um, is definitely well aware of everything there. And I think he's working with getting that extension done so that we will have something in place. Nobody wants to go into next year and say this is the last year on his contract. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be an extension. And I think that Toledo fans should embrace that as well and should be happy that Jason Candle is here. We don't know how long he's going to be here, even with an extension, right? He could get the right job offer that he decides to go. Um, he's a guy, he was born in Ohio. So, you know, it's tough to take him out of the state of Ohio, right? Um, his family loves it here. And um, he, he's done a great job as the head coach at the University of Toledo. He loves the University of Toledo and he should get an extension. And I think that, next year there's the potential for another MAC championship. There really is. This is a very good team. There's been some talk about the recruiting class this year, not the number one in the country at this point after the early signing period here. And yes, but there's only 14 players signed. And when I said number one in the country, I meant number one in the conference, by the way. No, it's on my brain right now. But there were only 14 players signed, right? And when you look at those recruiting services and you look at how they rank them and the points they give out, it's also based on numbers. And in this case, we're talking about quality, not quantity. The average ranking per player for this recruiting class is the best in the MAC, even though the recruiting points don't put this recruiting class at the best in the MAC right now. I think that there's still going to be a few more players brought into this class, though. There's still the portal to be looking at, the transfer portal, and then there's the signing day, beginning of February, where you could potentially see more players brought into the program. And still, I think this is a very solid recruiting class. There's some really good players. I've talked before about Travion Ford, 4-star coming in from Missouri, transfer. And, I like the offensive linemen that we're bringing in. I would like to see a couple of guys in the portal that have experience as well on the offensive line, but the young guys we're bringing in, that's going to help in the next couple of years. They do have to, get used to college program and everything. And we'll see if any of them get any playing time right away. Maybe not. A lot of times linemen do kind of redshirt that first year, but there's always a possibility. But then, there's some good skilled players in this recruiting class as well. So, even though people are out there saying this isn't that great of a recruiting class, I think it is. It's a smaller recruiting class, so keep that in mind. And was it the number one recruiting class 5 times in 7 years as the head coach at Toledo, and then this recruiting class I think pretty darn good too. So, what can you say? Jason Candle's done a great job, and I'm not always happy with the decisions made on the field and so forth. I just like any fan out there, we're passionate, right? And we always want to see our team doing great and winning every game, and just winning easily, right? We want to see them constantly win and win by a lot. And in every game, there's going to be things that you don't like that happen. You're like, scratch your head, like, why was that play called? And why did they do this? Why did they punt? Why did they go for it? Whatever it is. Why did they try that field goal? Why did they not try the field goal? Whatever it is. Every fan for every school has those times, those thoughts, right? And so I think it's natural for us as fans to feel that way. And I think that overall, though, Jason Candle's done a great job. And maybe when we feel the way we do and think like, oh, we need to get a new coach in here because I just don't agree with the way that went. And we should have won the MAC this year in the past, right? And a couple of years where we hadn't. It's tough, right? It's tough to win the conference. There's a lot of parity in the MAC, and look at Toledo all time is it 12? I think it's 12 MAC championships all time. Um, and Kendall now has two of them that he has brought in. Um, Next year could be a really good year again. You look at the schedule, um, probably probably the toughest game on that schedule is at Illinois at the beginning of the season, and that's going to be a good game, I think. Definitely winnable games in non-conference, and then you look at conference play. Um, yeah, you're going to play at Bowling Green, but after this year, the way the game went this year and everything, the last couple of years, you got to figure Toledo's going to be ready to play in that game, not like this year where they just didn't seem ready in the first quarter. Um, I mean, that's funny because that takes us to one of the complaints that some of the fans have had, right? Is that Jason Candle, sometimes his team just doesn't seem ready to play early in the game or late in the game, like the Buffalo game. There was the meltdown in the fourth quarter. Um, but those things happen with college football. It's the momentum of the game, the way things go, right? And every team has that stuff happen. And the diehard fans for every team have these same conversations. You know why some of these bigger programs have multiple talk shows and people talking about them all the time and controversy about this or that? It's because everybody's passionate about their every fan base is passionate about their team, and you know, they want them to be better. You always want the team to be better, and I want to see Toledo be even better than what they have been. Winning a MAC championship and a bowl game is good, but you still want to see them be even better. And I think that Jason Candle can do that here at Toledo. So I look forward to seeing a contract extension in the near future for Candle, and continue to see this program moving up. So that's pretty much it for the episode today. Let me know in the comments what you think about all that. And, whether you agree, disagree, and reasons why, whatever. Like I said before, this is the last episode here of 2022. So everybody have a good New Year's Eve and a happy New Year. And looking forward to being back on the podcast in 2023. Thanks.